Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, here we go. 7:30 on a Sunday morning, and I'm going live on YouTube.
Hi,
Gee,
everybody.
gee, it's as though I might have a problem or something. Hey, good morning. Good morning. This is kind of short notice, I know, just like the last one, but that's all right because this was, in fact, just something of a spur of the moment type of live. Largely because, well, it is Sunday morning and breakfast is coming, and my prep work is not quite done. So, if you'll excuse me, I need to do a little bit of slicing of these. Potatoes here, which I did wash off. Don't worry about that. Um, as the title says here, we've got a corned beef hash coming this morning, which is one of my favorite things to cook in cast iron. You know, I seem to say this is one of my favorites a lot. Well, if it's not fun, why do it? And yeah, I enjoy. I've made a. I think I've made a lot of things now in cast iron over the years, and I've had a lot of fun with almost all of them. So, and of course, there are things I don't mind repeating, such as corned beef hash. Um, there we go. Okay, I've washed a few potatoes, and I think these are golden potatoes, and I'm slicing these up. Yeah, this kind of caught me off guard almost as much as I'm thinking. Yeah, as anybody else here. Main reason is yesterday I took a trip into Boston to wander around and see the sights. The first time I've been able to do this since before the pandemic hit. I was curious about what had survived the panic and unfortunate pandemic or panic, and what had not. And as it turned out, well, some businesses that I have seen for years, including a few I've known for my entire life, are unfortunately gone. Regrettably, that is something of a tragedy. On the other hand, a number of things have survived. One of which was the famous food vendors at Haymarket Square in central or Boston's North End. And I do hope your town has something like Haymarket, because that place is a mecca to go, especially if you really want inexpensive or just plain cheap vegetables that you can pick up for instances like this. Just drop one. Oh well. But yeah, needless to say, the reason, Haymarket has been in business really since the colonial days here in Boston, and the idea is, of course, the vendors there are pretty much selling overstock and leftovers from the many produce importers that come into Boston, and essentially these are the type of things that are probably going to go bad if you don't use them right away. On the other hand, why not make a little bit of money, set up your stands in Haymarket, and sell these things at absolute dirt cheap prices? And every time I go down there, I can't resist because it's fresh. Even if it does have to be used right away. And so I ended up with a small bag of these golden potatoes for $1, a big 2 pound bag of mushrooms for $2, and a huge, and I mean huge, bag of spinach for $2. So that means I've got a lot of spinach to use right away, not to mention the rest of these things. So that's why the idea came for this corned beef hash, which, as I said already, is really one of my favorite dishes. I love making this stuff. It's one of the first things I learned to cook when I learned to cook. I was even making it before I learned how to cook, and kind of a little story like that as well. In that, um, in my previous life, when I was married, we actually honeymooned in, of all places, Salem, Massachusetts, at the famous Hawthorne Hotel there, in fact, which and it wasn't, and it was nice. I will say that. There we go. On the other hand, one of the things I remember was we had breakfast there at the hotel, and being a really rincy, fancy hotel, they served um, yeah, they served corned beef hash for breakfast, and that was probably the best corned beef hash I had ever had in my life. At least up until then. One thing I will not forget was the fact that they used, well, of course, real slow cooked corned beef instead of the dog food stuff out of a can, which is good too. There's nothing wrong with that stuff. Good morning, Lawrence Larson. Nice to see your channel grow. Well, thank you very much. And yeah, thank you for showing up. And likewise, if anybody else shows up, I know we've got at least 3 people. Well, I'm not expecting much. I'm not on a Sunday morning at 7:30 with no previous notice. So anybody at all who shows up, well, again, I'm very grateful and thank you very much. It's not like we have anything better to do. But anyway, as I said, at the Hawthorne Hotel in Salem, they made a corned beef hash with real slow cooked corned beef, and as I said, it was probably some of the best corned beef hash I'd ever had in my life. And believe me, I have since been looking to recreate that. And not that I'm trying to brag, but I do feel I have done so, because this, on the other hand, is a recipe, as I mentioned, that I've been cooking even since before I learned how to cook. Well, that started out in a different manner. Rather than talk, though, let's see. Okay, it only requires a few things as well. We got our potatoes, as I mentioned. In this case, this is going to be a little different. Here are some of the mushrooms that I got at Haymarket yesterday. Yeah, some minced garlic. Again, I'm doing this quickly. And let's see, the spinach, as you saw, and of course the star of the show, which is in the oven right now. And in fact, I'd better take that out. Move this out of the way somewhere. I'll put it over here for the moment. And in fact, I've got to get out a trivet, because got a hot Dutch oven in the kitchen. In the oven. No, not a bun in the oven, but rather we've got meat in the oven, which is coming out right now. Which, as I mentioned before, has in fact been slow cooking all night. Here we go. Yay Lodge. Good old Lodge 5-quart Dutch oven. One of the first things I had, and you believe me, you can cook anything in this, including corned beef. I did not use the traditional corned beef spices for this. Although I could have. It is, though, still corned beef, so it's prepared in that manner. All I really did was just give this a coating of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Put it in the oven before I went to bed at 250 degrees, maybe a little bit less, and it has simply been slow cooking now for like the past 7 hours or so. Which means now we get to fork it up. I mean, I am definitely not as prepared as I should be, because let's get a couple of forks here. And this, of course, is going to be the centerpiece for our fat. This is going to be the centerpiece for our corned beef hash. Oh yeah, I should have taken it out of this liquid. I am not thinking. Better get another bowl. Well, like I said, it's 7:30 in the morning. I am not a professional, and I'm not entirely awake yet. Okay, so now let's scoop this out as best as we can. Yikes! Oh, son of a! Told you, I'm not a professional. Thank goodness that did not fall over. This. Oh, shut up. Yeah, I know. That's why this channel is cast iron. Damn it. Ugh. This channel is cast iron chaos, and definitely we get to see some chaos pretty much every time we do one of these live videos. No disasters yet, thank goodness. Unfortunately, this was not the first one. Alright, like I said, let's quickly grab this. Where the hell? There it is.
The orange cat overate again.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and threw up all over the place.
Oh, nice.
He's gorging himself because he sees the other stray cats behind him.
And he tries to eat it all.
So he tries to eat it all,
oh.
And he gets himself sick.
Nice. Well, not nice.
Well, he's put on some weight. You see how fat he's getting?
Yeah, I know.
But it makes me feel good. You know what I mean? Because winter.
It makes me feel good because, yeah, I know,
and
because winter fat.
He's got to put that fat on him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody. I don't know how many people are here, but we have not only. So, with our cats being so picky, because they're not spoiled, I'm not talking about.
Oh, yeah, no. Our cats aren't spoiled.
We have started giving the outside cats the wet food that our cats don't like. And now the outside cats are starting to get picky too. So we've not only spoiled our inside cats, but there's stray cats. There's about 9 of them. But we feed them every morning religiously. So every morning we go out and there's like 4 or 5 cats already sitting waiting for us. Like, we are so hungry.
Yeah.
Could you maybe just one side, a piece aside, just so I can make a wrap out of it? Yeah. Just a small piece?
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Let me do that right now.
Yeah, raise your bowl.
We're almost ready to cook. Okay, promise. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I meant to say something beforehand, but I forgot.
It's all right. Besides, it's these corned beef things. They always shrink anyway. So there we go. So far, so good. All right, this enough? I mean, especially if you're shredded, you want more?
No, I just want a little piece. Thank you so much. And you guys, you know what? This is just a cheat. This is a cheat, so I can tell everybody how it is. So who's here? Is Papa Dan here?
Andrew Beneficio, Lawrence Larson. This is kind of a short notice, I admit. So.
Hi, Lawrence. Hi, Andrew. Good to see you guys this early morning.
There we go. And now, at last, with this out of the way.
Thank you for being here on such an early time.
Yes, now let's...
Are you guys in the States?
I'm pretty sure they are. Okay, now let's get down to doing what these guys are here.
It's so good.
Don't you love slow cooked corned beef? Yeah, I mean, so many things we could say, actually, not the least of which is corned beef, which, of course, as you know, most people only have on St. Patrick's Day. Whereas, it is so good, you should really make this pretty much any other time of the year, although, admittedly, it's the cheapest on St. Patrick's Day. Also, once you have made corned beef in a cast iron Dutch oven, oh, this is nice and hot. Better turn on the fan. Once you have made corned beef in a cast iron Dutch oven, I think you will never, ever again be satisfied with simply boiling it. So yeah, definitely on St. Patty's Day, I do advise doing your corned beef in a Dutch oven rather than boiling it on the stovetop. Finally, thank you for waiting, because here we go. These are golden potatoes. Good, I chose right. I love russet potatoes, but russet potatoes, as you know, will turn into mash when you cook them. And I want these to have just a little bit of chew, I guess you could say, when we make these. So now let's turn our view around and get a better view specifically of the wok, shall we? There we go. And now at last, we can get down to some cooking here. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, that's right. We had corned beef hash. I've been trying to recreate it. And this is a recipe that I've been making even since before I learned how to cook. And in fact, Before, yeah, really in those days before I learned how to cook, I was making this rather disgusting dish now, um, with canned corned beef that even my significant other at the time, she would describe it as walk and puke. That was the name we pretty much put on it because what it consisted of was not one but two cans of corned beef, along with usually ramen noodles, cooked ramen noodles, that is, nonetheless, maybe some ground beef, and mushrooms. And mushrooms. We also threw in canned spinach, and that's where I learned that actually spinach goes really, really good with corned beef, as you're about to see. So we used, as I said, canned spinach, canned corned beef hash. I'd fry it all up in a wok. No, it wasn't even a cast iron wok in those days. I just fry it all up, and then finally we would dump it into a bowl and cover it with about, oh, I'd say an entire bag of cheddar cheese. Melt the whole thing in so that you had this big mash of melted cheese and the ramen noodles and everything, and yeah, we would eat it. That's what it was like for us. Well, I've since improved the recipe to the point where this is actually something I am rather proud of. As I mentioned now, now number one, I really do enjoy a lot the canned corned beef hash stuff. I mean, yes, it has the consistency of dog food, but it still tastes good. I will not deny that. On the other hand, I will never, ever, ever have canned spinach ever again. I mean, there are some vegetables that are fine in a can. There are some vegetables that really are the best when you get them in a can. I mean, yes, you can make them yourself, but really things like canned peas, for instance, are much easier just simply getting them out of the can. There's no denying that. Canned spinach, on the other hand, yes, okay, the taste is not bad, but I mean, it comes apart. It stains everything. It would, if I used canned spinach in this, it would turn the whole thing a rather disgusting shade of green slash gray slash black, almost as much as if there was no seasoning in this cast iron. So yeah, I am never gonna go for canned spinach ever again, even though I love Popeye. Okay, and hi there. Hi, Josh Whiston. Let them taters brown. Yeah, I know. That's the thing for me. It's like I never seem to be able to get these things brown because I'm constantly moving them around. No denying that. So I think I will hold tight there for a moment. But anyway, as I said, that's kind of like, yeah, that's how it is with me and corned beef hash. What when this is done, and it's actually not going to take that long to cook. I think you will enjoy it. I actually have the heat on this wok turned up now to about 6 on my electric stove, which is pretty hot. That's actually hot enough to sear a steak. And I have had this wok heating up, so it is definitely good and hot. There's no denying that. And GM, good morning again, Dorothy Sable. You were here last time, and I appreciate that. This is not the first time I've done a one of these lives on a Sunday morning. So again, I very much appreciate everybody who's shown up. Anyway, um, okay. Well, let me see. As I said, as I mentioned already, the pandemic really, well, it's been the top topic of conversation for everybody for like the last 2 years since it began. And everybody is sick of this pandemic. I know I am, and I don't mean sick, ha ha ha. That's a sad story in itself. But I mean, really, it's like all we ever do is talk about it. But what can I say? As I mentioned, yesterday was my first trip into Boston for the first time in a while, and I visited. I grew up, in fact, in the Harvard Square area, so that place has always been near and dear to me, despite the fact that many or most of the greatest landmarks in Harvard Square are gone now, and it's only been replaced by mall stuff, and not just because of the pandemic either. Folks remember things like the Worst House, for instance, that is long since gone. All you can get well, no, there are still a few, and I mean a few, unique places in Harvard Square to go, but not really as many as there used to be. Really, about the only thing to go to Harvard Square for now these days would be Harvard University itself. Um, I believe the Brattle Theater is still there, which is still screening classic movies. I worked at the Harvard Square Movie Theater, the mainstream one, which used to be a Lowe's theater, which unfortunately also closed sometime about 10 years ago. That building is still abandoned. It has not been claimed yet. It is still there, and you can still see the facade on the front. One store I always remembered in Harvard Square was this candy store in the center of the square, which unfortunately, I think it was called Sweet Treats or something like that. They're gone. They went out of business, and unfortunately, it must have been fairly recently, only because of the pandemic. I'm missing that. You know what else is gone in Harvard Square? The Harvard Square newsstand. Yes, I mean, really, this, of course, it probably have been there for centuries. There was this newsstand right outside the train station, which, of course, sold magazines and newspapers, really from all over the world. And they had expanded to the point where there was another newsstand across the street of the intersection. They're gone. It's gone out of business. It is all boarded up, and in fact, the newsstand across the street on the corner by the Harvard Coop now is a burger place. No, not even a burger place. Shake Shack, or as they call it, a milk bar. Yeah, that's actually the sign they have on it now. They call it Milk Bar, where you can go and get smoothies and ice cream and stuff. Funny, when I saw Milk Bar, my first thought was a Clockwork Orange. I was so tempted to go in there and ask about getting some Milk Plus, some Synthamesk or Drencrum, but I have a feeling that they have either heard too many Clockwork Orange jokes or they just wouldn't get it. So, yeah, and unfortunately, things have changed again, and not always for the better. Um, the Possibly the world's greatest bookstore before the internet came around is the Harvard bookstore, not the Coop, not the Harvard student bookstore, but the Harvard bookstore. It's still there and it's still doing great, and I'm happy about that. Harvard bookstore is wonderful because of its eclectic selection of books. On one hand, a lot of them they sell are overstock or extras from the curriculum that they teach at the college. But on the other hand, that also means you can find in really brand new condition and at really really deep discounts. You can find all kinds of unusual books down there in their used books basement. If you've never been to the used book basement at the Harvard bookstore, that is a must visit if you are ever on a trip into the Boston area. So anyway, yes. Dory Sable, thank you for doing them. Have you done a Dutch baby pancake? Oh yeah, congratulations on your first Dutch baby. Oh yeah, I've made a few Dutch babies. Mine have turned out good. They have not been world class. People have. I've seen on the Cast Iron Cooking Group on Facebook. I've seen much better Dutch babies than the ones I've done. But they're yes. But they are fun to make. They're easy to make, and they're really great to make with kids because, especially so, they're so fast. I mean, especially if you have a glass door oven, the kids can actually watch as the Dutch babies rise and they grow into these weird shapes. They're fantastic for that reason, and of course, you can top them with all kinds of sweet treats. Yeah, yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. Can't forget that as well. Jamie, as well, is really good at making Dutch babies, and she's very proud of that. She is plugging her video on this channel, in fact. If you look up on this very channel, on here on my channel, Dutch baby, you're doing it wrong. You will see a Dutch baby that might be a little different. Um, okay, I do believe we're finally ready here. Now that these potatoes are done, finally time to start moving on. And let's, I think I gotta shred this a little bit more. But you know what? I'll shred it in here. There's a concept for you. There you go. This might be enough. I may not even have to add all of that corned beef. Mm-hmm. There we go. As I said, this corned beef was slow cooked all night in a large Dutch oven, just at 250 degrees for about 7 hours or so. And again, once you have made corned beef in a Dutch oven, you will never, ever be satisfied with boiling it ever again. Believe me, I'm not. I always make my corned beef now in a Dutch oven, or here in a wok, as you can see. There we go. Yeah, really, doing those potatoes was probably the longest and I guess you could say most difficult part of this. The rest of it is pretty easy. All we're going to have to do now is mix in everything. So far, so good. And besides, it's not going to take much longer anyway. Especially since, again, the corned beef is already cooked. So really, all we're doing is just pretty much mixing it around for flavor. And yeah, I think these potatoes are softened, so I'd say really the hardest part is indeed past us. Yeah, it's sad to see all those great places closing. I don't doubt it. No, it is absolutely, and I'm pretty sure that pretty much no matter where you live, you've been affected by this too. And I'm sure there are some places that you've enjoyed that are unfortunately lost. All we can do is move on and rebuild. I'm afraid. Well, whatever comes after this can hopefully be better. I mean, it was great in the past, but all we can do is look forward to the future. Okay, so much for trying to wax poetic there. All right, also in here, need to throw in a whole bunch of, yeah, I think that'll do. Some minced garlic. And then after this, here's where this recipe is going to take something of a left turn. Because, as I said, what I learned is that one thing that goes really, really good with corned beef, and I very, very much encourage you to try this, is spinach. And as I said, no more canned spinach. Not for me, not ever again. On the other hand, I got this gigantic bag of spinach at Haymarket yesterday for $2. That was really what inspired me to do this because I mean, for $2, I could not pass that up. Like everything else, food prices have been going up, and I've seen spinach on now being sold for like $3, $4 for like a 6-ounce bag or so. So for $2, I could not pass this up. There we go. That should be enough because you know this stuff wilts pretty fast. I've got so much spinach to make. Well, then I'm just gonna have to make it. Do love spinach. Also, fortunately, as I said, this you will see how quickly this stuff will wilt and shrink thanks to the moisture and the heat. In fact, it already is. And once that's done, all I'll have to do then is throw in the mushrooms. And it really is that easy. That's one reason why I like making this dish. Come on. There we go. What I need to do is pull out my other spatula. Here's one. Here's a wooden spoon. This should do. Wooden walk shovel here. I got this at an Oriental store several years ago. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oriental is apparently a bad word now. I got this at a Chinese market the other several years ago. And I hope I didn't offend someone by using that word, but I mean, no, this is no, really, it's not the same as some other words that I'm not going to that I don't like using. But nonetheless, you can see the spinach is indeed wilting. So we are doing good here. The incredible shrinking spinach. Hope I didn't overdo it. Nah, it'll be fine. Once this thing gets all wilted. All right. Meanwhile, Peg 2. Hi, kids. It's 6 a.m. here. Well, welcome, Peg, and thank you for checking in. And yeah, you know how those of us who get up at like 6 and 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning? Well, for a couple of reasons. Number one is, of course, we are trained to be early risers because, of course, you know, we have our day jobs. And number two, we've got kids and pets who, of course, will not wait in the mornings. Speaking of which, where did she go? Miss Mobley was demanding her second breakfast just a few minutes ago. Is Mobley in there? Okay. All right. Well, she will show up. I was hoping to get a shot of her. But yeah, you see, the spinach actually is shrinking very nicely here. So there we go. Okay, and we're just about at the point where the last ingredient should come in. So let me also grab some salt. Don't need too much because of the corned beef. Don't drop it. What is it with me? And pepper. Yeah, that's why on my website I call this spinach hash for that reason. As I said, you know, I found out that spinach, the taste of this goes great with corned beef. And again, I highly recommend it if you haven't tried it. Traditionally, corned beef hash, well, isn't made with spinach. I don't think it's usually made with mushrooms either. But here we go. Here are a small amount of the mushrooms that I got at Haymarket yesterday. And here's the part where I always hear, "Oh, you didn't wash your mushrooms." Well, guess what? You don't have to wash your mushrooms. And believe me, again, it's not just me saying that. Here's the part where I can ask you to look it up or Google it, like any conspiracy theorist would say. However, nonetheless, washing mushrooms is not quite the same as, oh, I don't know, JFK's assassination or something. But point being is that is not dirt on the mushrooms. That is spores. Those are spores that are naturally released by the mushrooms. You know, they're basically just mushroom pollen. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But if your mushrooms are trimmed, you don't have to rinse them. If they're not trimmed, you really should rinse them to get the. Because if they're just pulled and they don't have the bottoms cut off, you might. Chances are you're probably gonna have some grit.
yeah. I mean, take a look yourself. And boy, in fact, it seemed like these mushrooms practically disappeared. But yeah, the spores, they dissolve. I mean, they don't become grit. So
No, that's not what the spores.
yes.
Yeah. And generally, if a mushroom, because when a mushroom is growing,
Mm-hmm.
its hood is closed. So
Yes.
if a mushroom looks like an open umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
it's already dropped all of its spores. The
Right.
spores are gone at that
Okay.
point in time. Because the second it pops open, that's when it releases the spores. It actually pops open with like a spring, like it pops. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So just like opening an umbrella. If you open an umbrella really fast, say you have you put like those balls from like a play place.
Mm-hmm.
Those balls. If you put them inside of an umbrella and you close it, if you open it real fast, you'd have, think about how those balls would spring out.
Yes.
That's exactly how a mushroom is and how it releases its spores. They spring out from when you pop open.
Okay.
The cap pops open. So a cap is open, the spores are gone.
Okay.
And that's just the mushroom that's left over. No more spores.
There we go. But nonetheless, you know what? I think that's it. I think we've gotten past the worst part after we did those potatoes, because here we are with some corned beef hash along with spinach and mushrooms thrown in.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I just gotta get a photo of this. Oh, there is? Excellent. Because I forgot to get some yesterday. Yeah, excuse me one moment while I indulge here. What did I do now? I'll close that out. Okay, that's why that was the wrong one. There we go. Whoops. Whoa, what the hell did I do? All right, there we go. Excuse me while I indulge here, because I think the lighting's pretty good this morning. This, if I may say so, doesn't look bad at all, at least as far as being photogenic is concerned. There we go. And yeah, like Jamie said, that's the other thing. Usually it's traditional to serve a fried egg on top of corned beef hash. And I've done that, but you know what? You know what I found goes really, really good with this, especially with the spinach? Feta cheese or sour cream for that matter. That kind of a tangy taste goes wonderful with this. And if Jamie is right, I've just got to dig that out right now. You said it's on the top shelf? Jamie? Yeah. Why am I having trouble finding it? I did not know we had feta cheese. I'm still not sure about the cheddar cheese. Still not sure about that feta cheese. I didn't think we had any. But yeah, if I'd remembered it, I would have picked up some feta. But as I said, you know what else goes good with this? Sour cream. Just put a dab of sour cream on top of this, and you have got, oh man, breakfast like you wouldn't believe. In fact, as I said already, it's time to serve here. Peg Tooth. Good morning, Jamie. How did the interview go? And Dorothy Sable, pepper, lemon, and garlic go great with spinach. Where did you get the wok? The wok is a Lodge cast iron wok. They still sell it on their website, but you can get it at a much lower price, frankly, at places like Amazon or sometimes even at TJ Maxx. The wok is very special to me because this was probably the first piece of cast iron that I ever bought, sort of, for myself. In that it was, there we go. I used a Christmas gift card from my brother, in fact, to get this wok. And I have been using it now in my kitchen at least once a week for the past 10 years. 10 and a half, in fact, January of 2011. So there, but as I said, there we go. And can't forget those potatoes. I probably should have done a couple more potatoes with this, in fact. But there we go. I'm having trouble finding that feta. That's all right. No, that's okay. Anyway. Okay. No, I'm not asking you to do it. That's fine. I got some sour cream. Okay. 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 Okay, well, once you top that, this will be done, in fact. And in fact, it'll be for you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hello, Miss Mobley and Senor Trouble, says Peg Tooth. Yeah. Yeah.
He's not Spanish. He's a French Canadian.
Also, Peg Tooth is asking, how did the interview go?
I got the job.
She got the job. So there we go. What else do we have here? This is, I'm very envious of that wonderful metal spatula that you own. Is the business and curved on it? Oh, carved. Okay. Yeah, I deliberately, I mean, I love using my metal wok spatula. Yes, let me dig that out, in fact. And I'm not having trouble finding it. I can't believe I'm having trouble finding that. Give me 1 sec. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. The main reason why I did not use this today is because some people have complained about the scraping sound, unfortunately, of metal on metal. So I use this now. I intentionally used a wooden spatula for that reason. But yeah, this is one of quite a few finds I have made at the Brimfield Antique Show. I came across this thing for $5. It's not a business name on it. What does it say? It simply says Hong Kong, made in, and it's kind of worn off too. So I have no idea how old this thing is.
Sir, are you aware that you should be chewing your food?
After I found, yeah, after I found it at Brimfield in the fall, I soaked it in the lye tank for pretty much the entire winter, and then finally scrubbed it off with Barkeeper's Friend. Oh, you found it! Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Said if you just opened the fridge and you looked in the center middle drawer,
Okay.
the middle shelf where I said it
She
was,
found it. Yay.
literally exactly like it was.
Okay. But nonetheless, there we go. I should probably get a spoon. Here we are. Because as I said, let me see if I can do this right. There we go. I think we got it. Again, rather than a fried egg, just put a little bit of feta on your corned beef hash with spinach, and breakfast is served. This is something you, if again, I can only say one more time, I really recommend this. It's not hard to make. As you saw, the longest part of this cook was doing those potatoes. The corned beef is already pre-cooked. The spinach, just all you had to do is do it until it's wilted, and of course the mushrooms take no time at all. And so that means it's time for breakfast. We've already been here for 40 minutes anyway, but as I said, really above all else, I do appreciate everybody for showing up here on such a short notice. And this is a breakfast. Oh man. Oh yeah. Okay. Have a fork full of this because I mean, after all, if I didn't eat it, then nobody would. Yeah. How could we demonstrate it? Hmm. So, a little bit of this, and then I think we'll call it a morning. Oops, looks like I got some of this corned beef here in my on my fork. Mm. Oh yeah. Oh man. So there it is. This is different, definitely, from pancakes and biscuits and gravy, which are great. But hey, there's nothing wrong with trying something different. So again, all I can ask is that you give it a try. And as always, I do hope you folks enjoy this. Thank you very, very much for everybody for showing up here. And everybody, please enjoy their Sunday because, it's still Sunday and it's still early in the morning. We've had the first frost last night. Winter's coming, and so are the holidays. Oh, this is good. But this is going to keep me warm. So thank you, everybody. And go make yourself some breakfast if you haven't done so already, or at least enjoy your breakfast. Have a good day, everybody.